Razork looking for something, twisted advance. Chasy flashes forward, dashes in and gets the kill!
I can look.
You can look, yeah.
No flash.
You go Carzzy, guys.
They're pushing next way pot.
Oh, nice.
No flash, ghost. Nice.
I'm here. We can
I'm here. I'm here.
Come on.
Fight.
Look more, flash, Mokai.
Go the cannon.
Look more. Cannon. Look Jace. I'm healing everyone, guys. Go.
Go Jace, no flash.
And welcome back, everyone. Now I'm here to talk to you about this game, of course, but something very special happened. Now, usually I find that when I play solo queue and my support locks in Blitzcrank, for some reason they always go 0-10. For some reason they're not able to play the way Advienne is. But what did Advienne do so great? Well, let's have a look at it. So first of all, Advienne is being a very smart boy. From his first base, he decides to roam. He bought boots, he's Blitzcrank, he wants to have an impact. So he walks through the top side, towards mid, instantly looks for a gank on Nisqy. Unfortunately for Advienne, in that particular case, the smart viewer would notice that ward right there in the bush, spotting him. Nisqy was aware, he backs off. Advienne then moves down towards bot side. And we're gonna pause here because now Nisqy saw him leave to the bot side. He moves back up mid. He's in fog of war. Nisqy doesn't realize. He's grouping with Razork here, looking for a play on top. Humanoid is Jason to Silas. Nisqy's room. He's gonna have full prior mid. They push out Elyoya. He has to flash out. And now they look for the top play with Humanoid joining them. From the moment Advienne based, he's just been roaming around, pushing, pressuring, and basically single-handed creating this advantage. You think he's done? Of course not. He's playing Blitzcrank. So once again, he's spotted, but he doesn't care. He keeps looking. Razork comes from the other side. Nisqy thought he was safe, thought he had vision on everything that was happening, but not the case. Advienne and Razork strikes again. And just like that, you know, we have learned how to carry on Blitzcrank. Enjoy, support mains. That's all you need to do. It's that simple.
All I'm hearing is just leave your AD carry alone, and then that's just going to work out for you. And it also looked like that was going to be going well for him, but the game was,
Well, thank Mr. Broxah for the Telestrategy segment here. But after this well-rounded, polished, organized early game, whatever you want to call it, what happened afterwards? What happened for both this team? Because we entered the Twilight Zone in mid-game, GB. We've been praising MAD Lions for their rigor in the first game, and then game 2 happens, and we're back to square one. Mayhem.
Honestly, I was just as confused as probably anyone else watching what was going on in this game, because from the way that Broxah laid it out and we were planning it, it was like, okay, listen here, look at Advienne. He's doing so well. He's finding plays on the map. He's getting Fnatic back into a game that they initially lost on top side. Rekkles is doing a good job being isolated by himself. And then all of a sudden, all these skirmishes just breaks out of nowhere.
How do you end up having such a chaotic mid-game, Broxah, given how Fnatic stepped onto the early game and took agency of what they were doing and with the composition they had?
It's all about the team play, the synergy. They were just over-aggressive, really. And I like aggression coming out of Fnatic, because they're usually a team that likes responding to their opponents. But this time, they got a lead, they went ham. As we can see here, Advienne obviously finds a lot of openings, and he's really good at setting them up for success. And it's looking great. Like every single one of these clips is just Advienne single-handedly taking over the game on Blitzcrank. And it lasted for a while until eventually they got a little over-eager, threw the game away. MAD Lions did them a favor and threw, you know, in return. At one point, I thought I was watching an Iron game, really. If I was the coach for any of these teams, like, I would have so many gray hairs. Holy moly.
Honestly, we were quite often in the back room talking about what is going on. We actually are quite confused to some of the calls. It's some of the willingness being made, for especially MAD Lions, to go ham, but also just the fact that they need someone to put them on a leash, because when they are unleashed like this, they are just going way too far forward, and Fnatic are welcoming that with open arms when they have a composition that can kite back, specifically Rekkles with that Sire as well. Had such a good time whenever someone came, and huge credit to Oscar as well, because he was under a lot of pressure and he outplayed them every time, made them look silly.
I mean, MAD Lions over-diving here, I want to say, and not playing to what we were expecting from them, especially after the way they took game on. Broxah, you see these backstage shoots here, we're seeing some smiles, a good mood overall within Fnatic. Do you think when you come back after winning a game like this is what is going to set you up the best way for the third game.
I think Fnatic is aware they got away with murder. Obviously, in this particular case, Oscarinin looks like an absolute hero. The reality is that Elyoya missed his Q, he missed his ult, and there's just nothing MAD Lions can do. So they had great moments. That is something they're of course aware of. But at the end of the day, you know, this game could have gone either way, and I think Fnatic is just happy that they're still in it.
It's really the duality of MAD Lions as well from this series, because I go back to the first game as well, where they had the call around Baron, they had all the vision, and they just instantly say, all right, let's go for it, let's bait them in. This proactivity is really good for them, but it's also the duality of MAD Lions. There's a very thin line for them between this is a really good plan and this is a really bad plan, we should not go for it. And it's been what's been plaguing them for such a long time. We asked the questions earlier today, have they finally improved on some of the execution mistakes that they made last week? Some of them they have, but a lot of them still repeat themselves, if not to a greater extent, specifically with some of the overdives we saw.
And any conclusions we can draw from both this team as we're going into Game 3 here. From the side of Fnatic, we were expecting them to come together as a team. I think this is what we saw, especially in the early game here. But on the side of MAD Lions, did we see everything we expected from them?
Honestly, I don't even know what to say at this point. Like, if I am to predict this next one, I wish I had a coin here that I could flip.
Yeah.
I think overall, both of the teams have shown really great moments of promise. We've seen proactivity from both of them. We've seen ability to play from ahead, but we've also seen countless throws, so much chaos, and it just seems like the nerves and pressure are getting to them, because while these teams didn't look super dominant in the earlier stages of spring, like, they're for sure better than what we just witnessed.
And I mean, also just the fact that Fnatic froze his back, just as MAD Lions do as well. I'm thinking back to that one Baron. It's like, oh, MAD Lions now gets to play. They get Baron back. Now they're the one who's active with it again. Then suddenly Fnatic finds the pick and they get Baron and they have the game back again. Like, this game was just a roller coaster.
It's a lot of back and forth, and as Broxah was saying, I think you can feel the nerves on both these teams here, facing elimination, getting ready for the third game.
Oh my God, look at that!
Yeah, I mean, see, you look at the goal graph here, and this is exactly what we were talking about. Next game is gonna be the last. Actually, MAD Lions will be back on blue side. How do they set themselves up for success? We said that we could actually flip a coin to decide who's gonna win this one. But what are we expecting in terms of strategy and drafting going into this Game 3?
I think it's do or die, and find the comfort again. Like, if it's full team fight that you need to go for, then for either team, that's what you need to settle on. Get Hylissang off these enchanters as well. The Soraka did not look as comfortable as it could. Some of the silent combo with the Laure and CC wasn't really there. I also think the Renekton was a bit random on 3 on red side into the cannon then afterwards, which they never really utilized fully with the Sejuani playing around it. And for MAD Lions, it's just really, don't be so over-eager, start identifying the correct play, but that's been an issue that's been plaguing them for so long now that it's really not just that simple. It's something that's case by case, something that you get taught that becomes a habit in you. And right now, MAD Lions, unfortunately, have a bad habit of overextending. And for Fnatic, I mean...
I feel like we could make the same arguments about Fnatic.
It is, yeah.
Broxah, how do you expect this last one to go?
I want to see Hyli being unleashed. I think it's safe to say that Advienne pretty much solo carried that game, at least to an extent. It was an Advienne show. He was the reason they got ahead. Putting Hyli on Soraka, like, what am I watching, you know? This guy is so good on all these playmakers, and I think if you put him on anything like Blitzcrank, Rakan, Pyke, Leona, the list goes on, he can really shine, he can make a difference, because he's so good when he can roam and make plays with Nisqy and with Elyoya. And I would love to see a game where both teams go for the style where there's so much roaming and playmaking, because then we're going to have a banger.
We want to see lane dominance. We want to see roaming. We want to see who will come out on top. And Vedius, Dagda, Meeting, take it away for Game 3.
Thank you very much, Laure. Great to have you hosting the entire weekend. I want to give, just a quick shout out to Laure. She's absolutely amazing. Analyst, interviewer, host, caster at times. I really want to have her on the desk one day. It would be great.
Can you cast in French?
No.
Oh.
Can she cast in English? No.
Yeah. She can cast in English.
I've never heard her cast in English. I mean, I could probably cast in French if I really tried. It just wouldn't make any sense.
Okay, fair enough.
Au chocolat.
Well,
bien
that
sûr.
weird tangent. Welcome back for Game 3 of MAD versus Fnatic.
How do you say throw in French?
Matic.
That's all I need.
I'm saying Matic again. God damn. MAD are on the blue side. Fnatic find themselves on red. So far, today, blue is 100% win rate.
Yep.
it seems that based on some of the conversations the players are having in chat, they're excited. They're talking about getting amped and ready, trying to get into each other's mental game right now. I think that they were surprised by some of the picks that showed up in last game. Some did, in fact, catch them off guard. We'll see how they adapt as we move into Game 3. What will be banned? And it looks like immediately the Mad Lions are going to continue to take that Olaf away, potentially for that Cannon blind pick once more.
Yeah, that Annie ban coming through again here on the red side, so Fnatic just keeping that one to themselves, making sure that it's not actually going to try and slip its way through the draft. I'm curious if we do end up falling back to things like, well, with the Xayah being banned away, if we end up seeing the VoD first pick coming through once more, or what exactly the plan is going to be here.
For the moment, just Rakan Xayah. There's the Jace taken away by Mad Lions. Don't want to give Humanoid that power that he had in the last game. I wonder if Fnatic will look towards banning out the Cannon or even the Gragas. We did see that obviously banned out in Game 2 after it had such a big effect in Game 1.
What I will say is that I think Humanoid so far in lane against Nisqy has been the benefit.
Yeah.
I feel like that he has just had Nisqy's number so far in this series, and I think that removing the Gragas makes the most sense because you want to give Humanoid the most favorable matchup that he can get, and I think the Gragas just neutralizes a lot of mid lane matchups. So I think it makes a lot of sense. The VoD continues to be the priority for Mad Lions. In Game 1, we saw Ahri and we saw Wukong being the primary choice for both of these teams. I was wondering if Sejuani may be a pivot here for Razork, focusing more on the utility, but it seems that Fnatic is saying, you know what, no, we want to make sure that we have this strong mid-jungle duo in the form of the Wukong and the Ahri.
And more than likely you're going to see the Ahri picked up here as well, just because you're like, well, chances are we're going to see the Sivir on the opposite side, so we can kind of take the Ahri and play for those later game fights. And as well, I think you kind of got to go towards your mid laner here. Although it'd be nice to go like Zeri, Lulu, and secure that one for your bot lane.
Lulu? For Hilly? Nah.
Hey, it's happened before, all right? Oh, okay.
Oh, the pivot. All right, so we're going to be moving away from Zeri, and we're going to be locking in the Jinx for Carzzy. Will we see the return of Nisqy's Twisted Fate? Something that he lent on a lot when Fnatic made that run towards, I believe it was in 2021 that they made that run. Nisqy's Twisted Fate was something that you couldn't really afford to do, and we have seen it popping up around the world here and there, but it's not really been a mainstay in the mid lane.
No, and I think it does make a little bit of sense if you want to try and play for the Jinx here, because we kind of just said, hey, look, Sivir more than likely going to be the pick here for Rekkles in that bot side. So if, I mean, it works well against the TF, works well against the Jinx, just has a miserable time against the Jinx in lane. So I think the biggest one is now, okay, let's just lean in towards that, continuously try and play for the bot side, let Jinx start to get towers, and always have this TF in the back pocket who can show up at any moment if you ever try and contest the Jinx's push.
But it's going to be Jax in the top lane for Oscarinin. Picked up early in the draft here. It's a little unusual to neither see a bot laner or a support in the first set of rotations before we get to that second ban phase. There's the Cannon ban. Can cause a few headaches for Jax up towards that top side. No real surprise that Fnatic want to take it away from Chasy's hands.
What this does do is it gives Fnatic the ability to counterpick support, which is not something that we've really seen from them so far in this series. We saw the blind Renata in Game 1, and then we saw the Soraka in Game 2. But now they can like make the matchup in the top side slightly easier, given the fact that Jace and Olaf already removed. Then they get to remove the Cannon and the Malphite. And now for Chasy, you're looking at something like a Gnar, right? This is usually his go-to in a matchup like this. He neutralizes the lane. And if Mad do want to try and play through bots, then I think that that is definitely an easy way for them to do it. But I will say that if you have Twisted Fate Vi, I really think that you should be looking at something slightly more carry-orientated towards the top side.
I don't think it's Fiora.
Yeah,
I mean, decent matchup into the Jax. I think you can play heavily there for chasing that top end if you want to. It does become a very much a skill matchup in that top lane with the Jax and Fiora, where it's a case of Jax starting to counter-strike, Fiora trying to find that timing window, because there is a little bit of extra time for the Jax where he can hold on to the so he passes through the riposte or he pops it early. So a lot of mind games go into that lane, but makes it significantly easier if you just got a TF to kind of nullify all that.
So I was just about to say, the Blitzcrank ban suggested to me that Mad Lions were looking at a Jinx Thresh bot lane.
Yeah.
So in response, Fnatic was saying, well, you know what?
We take the Thresh.
Sure, we'll just take the Thresh, not a problem. Now, of course, Mad could still go for something like the Nautilus, but Nautilus Jinx is a bit of a weird bot lane for sure. So we'll see what direction they decide to go. Cassante is going to be the answer up towards the top side of the map. Something that we did often see used into the Jax. I remember when he was just the mainstay blind pick top laner, something that Chasy has played a fair amount of. But yeah, I think a little different from what we were all expecting here in the
Yeah, less exciting than the Fiora, to be honest. Although we could have had Vin's Fiora again, and that would have been not the most exciting.
It depends on what year, you know.
Yeah,
it's like
true.
a good wine. You get different years where it can make the difference. But
Mad Lions, though, look again towards an engaged support. Hilly is going to be put on the Rell. Does give you a good amount of lockdown. The cease and desist from the Vi, the gold card. Rell going in with the Magnet Storm, and we saw how experienced and how practiced Hylissang is on the Rell in game 1.
Now, Mad heard. Oh, don't tease us. Come on, don't tease us.
You can condemn
it's gonna be
Rell out of her pheromancy.
It's gonna be. Oh,
Could be Sivir. It's going to be Sivir.
I mean, it's fine. I was really excited for the Aphelios, though, because I was going to make this great joke about how, like, everyone was really annoyed that the AD carry meta seems really stale, so let's go back to the
Jinx
last
Aphelios, really stale,
AD carry meta where everyone thought that was really stale. But no, it will be Rekkles' Sivir. I would say you have somewhat like mismatched bot lanes in the sense that these aren't supports that you typically expect with these AD carries. And I basically expect that these supports to not really lane much.
Yeah.
I expect them to be roaming around the map a lot. We've been seeing Hylissang and Advienne roaming a huge amount with the Blitzcrank specifically and the Rell in game 1. Both these supports like to be active on the map and they like to work with their jungler whenever they see an opportunity to. But I think that Fnatic should have an advantage largely because of Nisqy on the Twisted Fate. The ability to attack side lanes, the ability to find picks is just so strong with this Mad Lions composition. But Fnatic's team fighting, I think, is where they have the edge. And when we think about how this series has played out, it's been all about the team fighting. So I'm quite optimistic for Fnatic coming into this game based on how we've seen this series go so far.
I think it's also just a case of where the hell does Nisqy play for? We don't really want to play because around Cassante top. You try and play around bot, you're playing into a Sivir. Like, she's just going to spell shield everything you do.
That's a great point, yeah.
I think the biggest problem is how do you actually try and utilize Nisqy now with that Sivir going into the bot side? It kind of feels like you maybe look for picks into the jungle, but it's a big question mark. We'll have to see how Nisqy's going to overcome this.
Both these teams fighting for their lives in the LEC Spring Group Stage. Mad Lions versus Fnatic. One win between you and a matchup with Astralis.
The second that the teams got into the game, Humanoid typed in all chat, Nisqy TF, star, 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 star. Now, I'm not entirely sure what the stars mean, but it would suggest to me that Humanoid is now worried about Nisqy's TF.
Well, there are two words. There's one that starts with S, which implies he's a very bad TF player.
Right.
And one that starts with F, which implies, oh my goodness, we gave Nisqy TF.
I see.
I think it's the second.
I see.
But it could be either.
Well, we'll have to wait and find out which Nisqy TF it is. But yeah, it's exciting to see him back on the champion. A reminder for when Fnatic knocked G2 out of Worlds, it was Nisqy's TF that did it. it was the whole thread where everyone was like, G2, why do you keep giving Nisqy his TF? It was a very controversial time. Nisqy and Fnatic did end up representing Europe as their second seed. Going into the World Championship, and I believe that was back in 2021. So we'll see how he does. As I mentioned, I think Humanoid has gotten the better of him so far in this series in terms of the isolated mid. 1 versus 1, running the electrocute on Ahri does give you a lot of power in the 1 versus 1, and already we can see Humanoid looking to try and leverage that.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for Nisqy here is a case of, hey, look, I want to try and use the minion dematerializers on the back minions. So then 1 red card, and the Q should be able to clear the back wave. You reset at level 5, TP back into lane, and just then you're on your way, so you can hit that level 6 and immediately play for side lanes. The biggest problem that you are going to have is, as you rightly pointed out, the damage from Humanoid. Already trying to trade effectively, you bring Razork into the mix. If you can get Nisqy to reset early, it's a big win in this matchup against the TF.
Love the way Humanoid's playing this matchup as well. Kind of what you want to do on Ahri. The mana costs are so much lower than compared to what they used to be, which means that just spamming W is such an effective trading tool. You prop the proc the electrocute as well. Nisqy being forced to use his corrupting potions already. The most dangerous thing about this playstyle, this heavy aggressive constant push in, is that you are at risk of getting ganked. And against the Twisted Fate, that's something you have to be very cautious of. No cleanse, of course, on Humanoid. He is running that TP. So this is something that Razork is going to have to try and assist with in terms of vision. And already we see Elyoya making his way towards mid lane.
You see Hylissang making his way towards mid lane as well. He left the bot side of the map. Elyoya is here. Humanoid is pretty good with the charms in game one. Elyoya stepping forward, flash away. It's got gold card locked in. Razork coming in from the side as well. Humanoid trying to do the damage. Hylissang here as well. Nisqy will fall. It's 1-for-1 so far, but now Razork is caught in the midst of Hylissang and Elyoya, and it's a double for the jungle.
Brilliant roam from Hilly to make sure that he could secure the victory in what turned out to be the 3v2. Now getting Nisqy able to reset. He's going to walk back to lane, hold on to that TP for that level 5, and rightly done by MAD Lions to get this early lead.
It's just a great awareness from MAD. Nisqy kind of allowing Humanoid to get that push in, but also, again, we've seen it this series. Humanoid has just been hyper aggressive in the 1v1, and I want to draw your attention to the minimap. All this vision is invested on the bot side river, and Elyoya comes in from the top side. Humanoid wants to try and flash early, but Nisqy with the follow-up flash stun. This is exactly what we were just talking about, which is that by playing this aggressive style, you have to be careful of a potential early gank, and Humanoid got caught off guard with Elyoya finding that initial pick.
Also, just a slight thing for Elyoya, moving in behind the Ahri means that she's not getting pushed towards her tower, gets knocked back slightly away from the tower, so they don't actually have to dive it. So just tiny little things there working out brilliantly for MAD Lions. And now we're pushing top side with a lot of control there. We'll see if Razork can try and disrupt it.
Oh, as you rightly said, Razork is looking for a play. I'll hold my tongue for a moment.
Chasy dashes away, Q3 expires. Razork hits him with a stick. Counter-strike coming out as well. There's the stun. Chasy still has the flash. Razork's tanking the tower here. Flash forward.
Always.
Oscarinin looking for a little bit more. Razork's going to take another tower shot. Oscarinin will jump away. It's an execute and a kill. In the end, yes, Razork dies, but no gold goes over to Chasy.
30 HP onto Oscarinin, though. That was so close to being a disaster. Unfortunately for Chasy, just doesn't quite time the invulnerability on the W with actually the CC coming through from Fnatic. So a little bit of a blunder, and it pays off.
Hylissang jumping forward. Good play back. Power of Thresh into Rell. You can just stop her in her tracks like that. Does stop the recall. That was beginning to come out from Rekkles and Advienne. Meanwhile, in the top lane, Chasy trading onto Oscarinin again, and Tofu strikes will bring him back. The sheen from Chasy doing quite a lot of work here in the early game.
And, oh, hang on. I was going to talk about XP game state, but we don't have time because already
it's all top.
Nisqy already. Look at him moving into Fog of War. Good vision placement from Fnatic to keep eyes on what Nisqy is up to, but he's going to start clearing out some of that vision, and MAD. Okay, they're not going to threaten the dive for the time being. I think that makes the most sense right now. Elyoya just looking to steal away some of these camps as Razork is making his way towards mid. Humanoid just pinged level 6. The timing is great for Fnatic. And look at this wave for Nisqy. The thing that I wanted to talk about earlier was how Nisqy, even after getting that early play onto Humanoid, the wave was pushed underneath Humanoid's tower, and he could TP and catch the whole thing, creating this pretty big CS discrepancy between the two mid laners, meaning that Humanoid wasn't really put that far behind. He also has a decent XP advantage, which he's trying to take advantage or make the most of in this window. But Razork couldn't really find anything alongside Advienne.
Nisqy would love to get a reset, though, for those Ionian Boots of Lucidity before he tries and goes to make that big play. So that's why I think there was a lot invested there by MAD Lions to get that push, so Nisqy can reset, grab that, and then look to make his first play on the map. Dragon up and available, though, and without that reset coming through for Nisqy just yet, maybe they want to see if they can pick Fnatic off as they try to come in to contest River Vision.
Can look for Rekkles in this bottom lane. At the moment, he's by himself. Advienne working his way around. We'll be able to get to this tower relatively soon. Rekkles pops the ghost. There's the lantern. Nisqy. Oh, wild cards first, so that if he had hit the stun card, it would have connected through the spell shield.
And that's what we were talking about there in the opening of the game was, what do you try and play for as Nisqy? You don't really want to play for Chase in the top side, and a great example of how it's very difficult to try and play around Rekkles in this bot side. We'll get a little bit of presence here, so Carzzy can get some turret plates, and maybe a bit more here.
Oh, Advienne has to flash away from the flame chompers. He will escape. Humanoid on his way down here. Razork was spending some time with the topside Scuttle Crab, does secure it, now works his way down through the mid lane towards this bottom lane, but in the end, MAD got everything they wanted. They got a plate, they forced Rekkles away from a few minions, and I wonder, actually, are they going to stay around here? They go back in, onto Advienne, no flash on him. Carzzy's going to flash away. There's the Lantern, and Hilly a little bit too deep here. His team had left, and Hilly went in. We've seen it before. Razork takes the kill, and Fnatic get their third of the game.
Terrible timing from Mad Lions. Humanoid had reset, bought, and had already made his way back out onto the map, whereas you had Nisqy, who hadn't reset at all, and was still trying to make his way back. So just Hilly overextending and giving that opportunity now for Fnatic to get the kill. Won't get Dragon, which I thought they would move over to immediately, but now Nisqy starting to leave towards this top end.
I mean, frankly, it's a comedy of errors on both sides. The fact that Fnatic was in nowhere near a position to punish anything on the map while they were setting up that dive, and then the reset comes through bot lane, then they engage when their mid laner and their jungler is resetting. It's just... Mad were in a great position after threatening that dive because Fnatic got literally nothing anywhere on the map. So all Mad did was create a discrepancy between the two AD carries. He was starting to build up a pretty solid lead. There was like a 400 gold lead for Carzzy, which is basically a kill. Even though they didn't get one, they basically get handed that amount of gold over to Carzzy, and then they throw it away by trying to force a fight where they didn't need to. And so Mad Lions now find themselves, again, like not in the worst position ever. It's not the end of the world, but these type of errors you definitely don't want to be seeing when your split is on the line.
Humanoid there realizing he needed to go the long way around to get back towards his tower. Rift held a possibility as Elyoya and Hylissang join up once again. Knock back into the all-out as Oscarinin is just caught unawares. Chasy takes him. Hylissang and Elyoya there for the assist.
And I was about to say, Fnatic are in a really good spot now. It's hard to try and play for team fights when you can't find a pick with Nisqy beforehand. Well, Oscarinin just gives them that, so now Mad get to move over towards the Rift Herald. Potential response here as Razork starts to lead down towards that bottom side, though.
You can see Carzzy backing all the way away from the wave. He will lose at least a plate hit. Probably one wave as well. Hook wide there from Advienne. Razork coming in from the side. There's the charm on Hylissang. Flash available for the Rell, but you're so slow as soon as you come off the horse. Attract repel, not enough. And Razork kills Hylissang once again. And I've seen less throws in a baseball game.
Yeah. Fnatic, they find themselves another pick. Mad still in the gold lead for the time being. And again, it's an interesting situation where even though we're seeing a number of individual errors, the reality is they're not swinging the game either way. They haven't been dramatic enough to shift the game in either side, but you kind of look at Fnatic's comp and you realize that, hang on, but if we're in this even state where it's constantly like small advantages gained back and forth, I feel like it's Fnatic that's benefiting from this because Mad want to be leveraging their Twisted Fate to find picks. That's how they build leads in the early game. You kind of snowball off of repeatedly trying to shut down a single lane, and while Mad have found a pick here or there, Fnatic have done the same thing. Now again, it's not the end of the world for Mad Lions. We're still only 10 minutes into the game. Elyoya will steal away that Gromp, and they're going to secure a couple of plates down towards the bot side. Nisqy has the ultimate as well, can threaten the dive, and with the Herald, this should be a big advantage gained for Mad Lions.
Nisqy just leaning into the fog of war there, gives enough control, but now he's going to go back towards mid, which means Fnatic feel comfortable to step up. Still a lot of gold going over in towards Carzzy.
Oscarinin losing out on these 1v1s over and over. Grandmasters might for a little bit of extra resistances. In the end, can just dash away. Flash is still up for both the top laners. Chasy's ultimate about to come off cooldown though, and the Destiny always a possibility from Nisqy. Would have to start pathing up here pretty soon if he wants to use it. Chasy looks for the Demolish proc. Will get it on the tower alongside a plate.
Again, you're seeing the quicker reset for Humanoid though. I think they're a bit worried about going for the dive because he had the TP and a bot, but the Rocket, what can we get?
Oh, Chasy looked to keep Oscarinin around there for a second. You can see took quite a lot of his health to do so. Razork on his way up here now as Chasy does get the knockback once again, but tanks another tower shot to do so, dashes away. Razork though, now collapsing. Chasy has the flash, has the all out. Humanoid on his way up here as well. Chasy's going to try and get away. There's the Cyclone, the knockback underneath the tower. Razork locked up for the second cease and desist is flashed away from. Destiny coming out as well, but already Elyoya has fallen. Nisqy joins the fray. Flash forward from Humanoid to get another in response. 2 for 1 for Fnatic in the top lane.
Wow, another skirmish happens on the top side, and Elyoya, in trying to protect his top laner, who was successfully able to create space between the collapsing Fnatic, ended up dooming himself as he found himself in the middle of 3 Fnatic members. Nisqy, though, with a quick response, is able to get that kill into Oscarinin. But Humanoid, he did a play that Chasy was not expecting and ends up being a 2 for 1. Again, Again, though, MAD is still continuing to find these edges when it comes to the gold. You can see in the top lane, thanks to all those plates that Chasy's been securing, MAD are slowly but surely getting slightly further and further ahead, which is definitely what they need as they continue to look for picks on the map.
The thing is, though, Fnatic are fully going to play for team fights, right? When you look at Humanoid's build, he's going for the Leandri's Anguish. He wants to be able to deal damage, even with the Electrocute. So you're still kind of waiting for Fnatic to go, cool, once we actually get to these full-on 5v5s, that's where we're going to be able to shine. And Hilly is not helping in the situation by getting very, very far forward every single time and nearly getting caught out by Fnatic.
Does make Rekkles have to walk a little bit further through his jungle, so the tower does fall in that bottom lane. Oscarinin now trading onto Chasy once again. So far, has not been in Fnatic's favor, these 1v1s in the top lane. And the Q3 just short, but Chasy already finished his Iceborne Gauntlet, whereas Oscarinin is still waiting to complete that Divine Sundra.
Still, Chasy, the fact you have this much control makes it really difficult for Oscarinin to actually try and push up far enough where you're not in danger of a dive from Nisqy or anything else coming through. At the moment, though, with the way the map state is, with Fnatic having control over this mid-wave, you still have Nisqy now exiting into the bot side, so it's going to be a little bit more about trying to get control over bot side jungle so Nisqy can lean in towards mid lane, but Rift Herald going to Fnatic is also going to be a big boon for them.
We take a moment of reprieve after both these teams have been battling back and forth in this early game. As we mentioned earlier, a small goal lead in favor of MAD, but nothing too insurmountable really for Fnatic to overcome. I'm looking at some of the items that have been completed. Carzzy, after picking up that bot tower, was able to complete the Kraken Slayer, which means that with the dragon spawning in a minute's time, you will have that item over Rekkles.
Rekkles just wanted to be full build. Had to fill up every slot before you could complete the Kraken Slayer. Yeah.
Makes sense, makes sense. MAD, though, moving into the top side of the map, threatening a dive. You can see all the pings. They will spot Razork out, and the rest of Fnatic are quickly on their way to support.
Humanoid's down in the bottom lane and doesn't have TP. We've seen Fnatic take fights at a numbers disadvantage, especially in game one. Here they're looking to try and defend their top laner, but is it going to be the right play to make? Tower falling lower, Chasy stepping in, tower will be forfeit. Chasy gets the knockback, there's the Lantern onto Oscarinin to make sure that he is no longer isolated against the rest of MAD, but it's another tower that does go down in favor of MAD, and their gold lead extends to about 2.5k. Should be evened out a little bit as Humanoid will be able to take bot tier 1. But actually, Nisqy is on his way down here, so Humanoid might have to be a little bit cautious.
I'm surprised Fnatic invested so many resources towards the top end, though. They had a ton of vision up towards that Rift Herald, and the fact that you spotted MAD move the entire way up meant you could have just given the tower and tried to play for mids, play for dragon control, cross-map in any way, shape, or form. They do get the tower, but I think the fact you don't have vision now for this upcoming objective kind of sucks a little bit for Fnatic.
Yeah, it's a bit... the macro's a bit wonky this game. Typically, as you rightly said, you would expect a cross map, right? Oh, you're going to go take our top tower? That's fine. We'll take bot tower and we'll also take the dragon. And you think overall that that'd be a big win for Fnatic, but they're trying to match. You know, they're trying to follow, and they're just like a step behind MAD Lions. Now, you look at them again here, they can't contest this dragon. Why? Oh, because Oscarinin needed to reset. He didn't have an opportunity to earlier because he was forced to catch this top wave. Like, Fnatic are... I think on the one hand, trying to mitigate the damage that MAD can do.
Yeah.
But in the same vein, like, they need to be aware of what advantages that they can gain on the map. And again, like, maybe in review, it showed that Fnatic didn't actually have a clear window to secure the dragon, but overall, like, MAD are the ones controlling the map right now.
But this is also going to bleed over now into the Rift Herald, right? Because you've only got Oscarinin that's exiting into the bot side here. Nisqy gets the push in, he resets. Now he can threaten the potential pick here if Fnatic try to go for this. They're moving Oscarinin up, but they're very late.
And Nisqy at the tier 1 right now will have that destiny. The Rift Herald down to 2,500. Flame Choppers come out, Razork stepping forward, Rift Herald secured. Hylissang with a 2-man knockup, there's the Destiny coming out as well. Hylissang locked up though, and he's already fallen. Nisqy Destiny's into the backline, Razork going forward, stun card on him, he's locked up, he's shut out of the fight. Carzzy dashing, dodging, weaving, but he can't get away from Humanoid. Chasy now opening up, Rekkles trying to do the same. At the moment, it's a 2 for 2. Rekkles stunned up, the Rift Herald secured by MAD Lions, and in the end, both teams walk away.
MAD don't spot Oscarinin moving up from the bot side, and it ends up going up, but Advienne now calls.
Advienne, flash gold card, no escape for him. MAD Lions come up trumps.
It ends up working out for the MAD Lions, but you have to wonder, Fnatic, there was a window again where you could have traded objectives. We kind of look at the maps they once again like, mid is an opportunity for you to play for. Look to play for the mid tower. Instead, they look for a fight with which it is engaged by Hylissang. And that engage looks pretty promising at the start, but Rekkles very quick to shut Hilly down. Great cleanse from Carzzy as he's getting collapsed on. Humanoid committing all his resources to get down onto the AD carry as Elyoya makes a great play to lock up the jungle top laners of Fnatic to make it impossible for them to play the fight. It ends up being 3 for 3. A lot of summoners are burnt, and it would have been a pretty even fight overall with MAD walking away with the Herald, but then Advienne gets caught out, doesn't expect this to collapse to come through from MAD, and it's an easy extra pick for MAD Lions with them ultimately winning out the team fight.
And in theory, Fnatic should be able to win out those ones, but because Oscarinin was set so far behind, you can see the difference in the damage. He's not really able to play frontline in these fights in the way you would really like him to, even being a big threat to the backline. So the Jax being behind, kind of coming back to bite Fnatic in that equation. And now, with that Rift Herald in tow, the side lane split push tempo team has full control over this.
I mean, I'll also say that Razork was completely shut down by Elyoya in that fight. The fact that Elyoya was able to ulti Razork immediately to prevent him from getting on top of his AD carry was just such a great decision, because it also then, he followed up with a Q and hit both Oscarinin and Razork together, and it just made that backline dive threat so much harder for Fnatic to execute. So huge props there to Elyoya. MAD have blown this into a 3k gold lead. They can now break open the mid tower using this Herald, and that's exactly what they're going to do right now. You can see Oscar sitting in the top lane, catching that wave, and once again, MAD dismantled Fnatic by playing the map very well in game 1, and they're looking to do the same here in game 3.
Rifthold does charge in. The tower does fall. Rifthold won't get a second charge. Fnatic should be able to stop this one before it gets towards their tier 2. Oscarinin in a little bit late. Gold card locked in for Nisqy. Counter-strike coming out as well as Humanoid looks for the flank, but the cease and desist immediately lands onto him. Up towards the top side, though, the cyclone coming out. Nisqy quite low already. Chasy down to half HP as well, but the knockback onto Razork is enough. Oscarinin locked in the Magnet Storm. Super Mega Death Rocket does find its mark, but doesn't quite find the kill. All out across the wall as Oscarinin will fall as well. Humanoid trading down towards the bottom side. Hylissang survives! Through it all, Hylissang still alive. MAD Lions absolutely clean up. Rekkles dives and dies, and MAD Lions can push in the tier 2.
MAD Lions refuse to be denied in this one. Another great fight for them. And now they get to take control over not only these turrets on the mid and top, but also Dragon in a minute's time. And the fact that they've so consistently managed to find these opportunities is incredible for this squad.
It's just MAD are playing so well around Carzzy. They are protecting their AD carry incredibly well, and he's giving them so much team fighting power. I expected Fnatic to be favored in the 5v5, but watch how this fight plays out. You can see the engage initially starts with Humanoid trying to find a good flank, then a good hook onto Nisqy, but the immediate follow-up from Chasy and the Zhonya's as well. And just look at Carzzy, under no threat whatsoever, completely on the back. Look at this wall that just sits in front of him as he is just free to dish out the damage, and Fnatic feels scattered. Carzzy does get collapsed on by Oscarinin, but then immediately the top laner there to peel for him as well. It's like protect the president, you know what I mean? Every time anyone gets close to him, and we saw that in the last fight as well. Great team play from MAD Lions, and they end up coming out on top.
You can see the damage that Carzzy put out there, almost 4k for him. That front line working wonders now. Dragon up in 1 minute, 1 second's time, in fact. Will be the second of the game for MAD Lions, and Fnatic very much on the ropes. They've been knocked to the floor. Let's see if they can get back up, because right now it's MAD Lions who have a date with Astralis. Best of 3s tomorrow for that playoff spot. On the hunt from Rekkles, the Dragon taken out, Humanoid diving in as well. It's a meat grinder in the Dragon pit. Carzzy trying to do it, the damage down. Carzzy surviving in the end, he will fall to Rekkles. Hylissang dies to the ignite as well as Oscarinin trading on to Chasy down towards the bottom side. The counter strike goes in, Chasy flashes forward for another kill. Rekkles has to get away from the gold card. The great hook! Rekkles trying to survive through it all, the spell shield, the stopwatch, the lantern, the stun card! And another hook! It's not enough to save Advienne. Nisqy diving under the tower. A hook goes down, Nisqy takes another. Elyoya takes it. Nisqy falls.
The creeps!
Does he die? 28 HP. He will not fall to the creeps autos.
Red Buff OP in that one. Holy moly.
Wow, and MAD Lions walk away victorious after another fight. It's Fnatic getting desperate. They see the dragon, they want to contest it. Great placement of the chompers. A flash is committed from Razork, but look at the CC again. Carzzy, he just, so much is thrown at him, but the combination of Elyoya and Hylissang to protect their AD carry for as long as possible. Carzzy's able to get the kill onto Humanoid, who ends up getting traded back. But the damage is done. I'd love to see the damage after that fight, because what's incredible is Carzzy, even though he was getting so focused down, was able to dish out so much damage, and so much credit needs to be given to his team. No spell shield means that Nisqy's able to lock down Rekkles, and this dive was a little sketchy. The hook and the tower actually getting the kill onto Nisqy, but the heal came through, and MAD Lions walk away victorious.
I'm very happy with that one.
Chasy, though, caught up towards this bottom side. Cyclone coming out as Chasy tries to get away with the Pathfinder. Now has the all-out, can try and use it, but the Cyclone will lock him out, and Humanoid gets the shutdown. Meanwhile, the Baron has been begun. Humanoid does have the TP if he wants to come across to this. Advienne puts the Lantern in to see that it's occurring. But I don't really think the Fnatic have a way into the pit. They don't have a smite, and they don't have a way to secure it. The Destiny, though, and Advienne stayed around too long. You can see what he was thinking. Maybe I get it with a Q. Maybe I pull my team back into the game. But sometimes the maybes can bite you, and it does exactly that.
But you can see on top side, Oscarinin still sticking around, and it looks like maybe MAD Lions thinking of going for a pick on him. They're kind of caught between both decisions. Do we push mid? Do we look for top? Hilly just watching Oscarinin walk away. I don't know how much they can miss.
In 1 second, there's a ward there for him. He's going to TP in. I wondered if Elyoya and Hylissang could do it, just the both of them, but Chasy here as well will mean that Oscarinin should fall. Pops the counter-strike, trying to put the damage back down with the cease and desist. Will lock him up in time for Chasy. Humanoid goes in with a charm, that's going to land. Rekkles trying to put the damage down as well as Razork is coming in from the flank. Fnatic feel that perhaps this is their moment to get back into the game. The flash away from Elyoya, he's down to 150, but a Magnet Storm from Hylissang stops Fnatic in their tracks. He will pay for it with his life, but he gets his jungler out. Humanoid, though, dashing back forward with the Spear Rush. Carzzy putting the damage down now. Carzzy trying to trade in the Cyclone, not enough to keep him alive. He'll get one in response.
Overzealous from Carzzy as Fnatic actually get 2 in exchange for 2. When you're this far behind, you'll take that trade as Nisqy secures another tower bot lane. Crazy back and forth. MAD, I think we're just a little too aggressive after securing the Baron. They will get themselves another tower though, and they will maintain control over this game. Oh, it's Elyoya looking once again.
Humanoid should just be able to take the Lantern and get out of this. Now, Nisqy does have Destiny. Advienne going to back in this top bush and will be able to escape. Let's have another look at this fight in the top lane, because after Oscarinin's caught, you can see Fnatic calling for reinforcements.
And you can see they're just waiting for Carzzy to try and get into position here as they run away. They get the kill on Oscarinin, and Humanoid with a good CC on towards Elyoya, but just not quite able to close the distance as quickly as they would like. Carzzy does eventually get here, but actually positions himself in a bit of an awkward spot where, yes, he gets some good damage down as Hilly goes in, but as this fight starts to continue, he spends so much time dodging back and forth for Humanoid, he hasn't really got anywhere else to run as the rest of Fnatic close the distance. Just about managed to finish him off in time.
Man, every shot a crit there from the Jinx as well. It's truly a fancy for him. Chasy going in here. Advienne trying to get away. The on the hunt popped. There's the super mega death rocket, and Rekkles will fall. Caught out, it seems, as the fight begun. The cease and desist onto the backline. The Destiny in as well by Nisqy. He follows the gate, and Humanoid solo Spirit Rush is back in. They managed to get the shutdown though. Nisqy going forward. Razork's going to try and lock him up, and Nisqy tanks the tower for a couple of shots, and now it's Hylissang's turn. Advienne with the hook goes wide. Razork chasing on to Nisqy. Needs another order. The tower will do its job. Razork falls, and in the end, it's a 5-2 in favor of MAD.
Big team fight once again for MAD, and it all starts with getting a pick onto Rekkles. Fnatic continue to try and fight back, but it is MAD that is winning out every time. The early fights, it felt like that Carzzy was the main damage dealer, but now that Nisqy is unleashed, Nisqy coming in from multiple angles, Elyoya creating so much chaos, the entire team continues to come together. And look, this is just, hey, we can catch Chasy out, and then Chasy's like, no you can't. Nisqy and Hylissang collapse from the mid lane, the stun lands, and then it's a one team fight for MAD.
Yeah, I mean, this is the big fight that MAD want to try and play for, where Fnatic overextend just that little bit, you immediately get to collapse with the TF, and it's just phenomenal stuff. The fact they are able to so quickly get into position, and Carzzy, again, free firing in the backline. And this was a very risky composition for MAD Lions to bring out in this game 3, the elimination game. and they rely on Carzzy, and with Nisqy able to control on this Twisted Fate, maybe Humanoid was right in what he wrote at the start of this game.
147 damage for Rekkles.
Just entirely locked up by Chasy, by the Destiny coming in. Basically made it impossible for him to play the team fight. He is at 3 items now, but so far it has been the Mad Lions show. It's been the Carzzy show in this game in particular. The attract repel as well. Elyoya goes in, sees and desist. They're looking for the stun. The hook goes wide. There is the gold card as well, and you just don't get a chance to get out of the CC. 1-for-1 trade so far as Oscarinin and Razork might look for the backline. The all-out across the wall. Carzzy already dead though. Rekkles has fallen as well. So far, Fnatic winning out on this fight, but Elyoya and Chasy still alive.
Hang on a second. This is a one-team fight for Fnatic. Mad should be able to get away to safety. The flash also committed there from Chasy. But wow, it was a fight where basically 80 carries didn't get to play the game.
Chasy underneath the tower, he can't stay here. It's Razork and Oscarinin on the chase. The gargoyles were a bit of shielding, but it's not enough to keep you alive. The tower falls in the mid lane, that tier 1 has gone down. Another will go alongside it, and Fnatic have started fighting back.
Have Mad just thrown the game, gentlemen? Like, Mad, they tried to force a fight by locking down Humanoid. Humanoid has been a big threat in these fights, and look, the chain CC is good. You know, the stun comes through, the pullback, the stun card as well. But look at Razork on the backline here. He's kind of focusing down onto Nisqy. Hylissang is going to drop as well. And you're going to actually see Oscarinin and Razork get onto the backline as Rekkles is also focused. Double knockup from Razork. And Nisqy and Carzzy, I feel like they're just not paying attention to him. They tunnel vision so much onto Rekkles that they don't realize that Razork is still a damage threat that you have to respect.
Same with Elyoya, and now, I mean, things are heating up in the Battle of Winter Fails in the game of throws, but we'll have to see if Fnatic can now keep this one going.
Do you call it the Battle of Winter Fails? That's a good one.
That was a good one.
Before, yeah.
Baron is 13 seconds away. Chasy no TP, but it is Fnatic that have control over the Baron. This game felt like it was done and dusted, but now Fnatic have a chance.
Carzzy's flash back up in 5 seconds. Rekkles is still a quarter of its cooldown left. Humanoid the same. Razork the same. The ability to get on the backline, not that easy for Fnatic. Battle lines drawn. Destiny forward. Nisqy, gold card locked in. The Baron taken by Razork. The stun's going to land there as they look for a little bit more. Oscarinin locked down in the pit, and he will fall first. Carzzy untouched, but Razork trying to get in the exhaust. The charm flashed away. Razork gets back into the GA. Rekkles still untouched as well, though, and Chasy in the middle of the pit is going to fall. And Elyoya dies to a ricochet. Chasy falls as well, and Rekkles starts swapping up. It's a quadra for Rekkles. Nisqy trying to get away, but Humanoid will not let him.
And Rekkles just pops off. He gets a quadra kill in the middle of the chaos. Fnatic have turned the fight around.
Is that it?
Mad Lions, that single fight in the mid lane cost them everything. Fnatic are making a beeline for the Nexus.
The Madonna is real! It won't be denied! A victory here in the LEC either. Fnatic, they find their fight and they're going for the end.
There's some juju magic attached to that orange bandana that Rekkles is wearing. A gift from Boaster and perhaps a gift from God for Fnatic as they look to close out this game. Hylissang's going to try and pull the wave.
5 seconds
but the Nexus Tower's the target. Carzzy 4, Elyoya 2, but the Nexus Towers will fall. And Fnatic are on the Nexus, but the chase comes in. Humanoid trying to survive. Oscarinin trying to do what he can as well. But Mad Lions slam the door in their face.
Oh my God! The Nexus was in their eyes! It was right there! And Mad Lions said not quite yet. Razork is still alive. He needs to clear these waves as much as possible because Mad are now making a beeline down the mid lane themselves.
30 seconds until Humanoid is up and available. Matt, how far can you push? That's the Destiny in from Nisqy. They want to try and end it here.
They have to keep the minions alive. They have to keep them alive as long as they can.
Razork, do you sacrifice it all to try and keep those minions away? Rekkles, 17 seconds, he gets the Cyclone, 1 more minion, he gets them all! And the backdoor bonus has been stopped, 20 seconds on Infernal Soul. But any wards in the base? No, Fnatic have tried that trick before and Mad Lions must have sweat them out. The Infernal Soul will be Mad's prize at the end of all this back and forth. But the game is not done yet.
Oh, it will be the Soul Dagda, you called it earlier. Mad will take this consolation prize, and Razork, he sacrificed his life to keep Fnatic in the game. And now we reset. Now both teams basically, well, not quite. I will say Mad's Nexus is slightly more exposed than Fnatic's is, but with Nisqy's Twisted Fate, this game could still go either way. Absolutely crazy. This game is anyone's to win.
Inferno Soul is huge for MAD. When they're playing such a single DPS composition, having that extra damage for Carzzy is so damn important. 3 of those Inferno Dragons going to be doing so much. You can see there, total damage, absolutely insane.
I was told they nerfed AD carries.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem like it.
Oh my word. So, gentlemen, when you're at this point in the game, traditional macro becomes a lot harder. You know, like there's a lot of variables you got to take into account, and single missed positions can be detrimental to either side. The pick potential for both Fnatic and MAD is very strong, but MAD with this destiny is so terrifying. So you're likely going to see just a lot of grouping. It's likely going to come down to a single fight, and we're going to be waiting for these neutrals to spawn.
I think if you're MAD, you need to separate Nisqy though. Try and create some sort of side lane pressure. So if you can actually get Fnatic to pull apart, well, that's your moment to find a fight and end the game. Bot lane probably going to be your best bet, playing off those 2 lanes. You've got a ton of vision already invested onto that bot side. That feels like where MAD should put a bit of their eggs.
I love the idea, Dagda, but have you heard of 5v5 mid lane, winner takes it all? I feel like that's what these 2 teams have decided to do. I have noticed that Carzzy sold his Phantom Dancer to pick up a Runans, knowing that splash damage in fights could be a big difference. As the game goes on, Humanoid's going to catch his bot wave. Oscarinin just pinged over to level 16. And with Baron up in a minute 40, you have to feel that is our next battleground.
So right now, MAD are keeping good pressure on all 3 lanes. They've got bot pushed in, they've got top pushed in, and they're keeping control over the mid wave as well. We mentioned this in game 1, that Fnatic 500 CS win condition, you know, Rekkles on the Sivir can just perma-clear these waves. He is not worried about MAD getting into the base, and as long as he is alive, Fnatic will always have a way to defend. But MAD are playing the map just that bit better right now. They're just keeping Fnatic under pressure at all times. And if anyone from Fnatic oversteps, you can see like if Humanoid goes a little too far in the top lane, if Rekkles oversteps a little in the mid lane, that is MAD's window to find that pick and look to win the game.
And now that we've hit late game, wards become such a privilege as well. Everyone's starting to get to their 6th item.
True.
So it's really difficult for Fnatic to hold on to vision as well. So it now comes down to, okay, a ward cleared suddenly takes a lot longer to come back, and that could give the opportunity for Nisqy to try and find these picks. MAD now pushing in mid, slowly but surely advancing that ward line and cleaning out what Fnatic have put down.
Yeah, 30 seconds on the Baron. You can see Oscarinin still sitting on his Wardem totem as well. Triple sweep up on the side of MAD just to deny any options for Fnatic, any way into their own jungle.
So what I will say now is that the dive from Humanoid and Razork is unbelievably lethal. Like Ahri, you know, when we've seen a lot of these Everfrost build, it gives great utility, but slightly less damage. With Deathcap, Void Staff, the Andries, you're going to one-shot the AD carry. A single combo will land. Of course, the cleanse is up for Carzzy, but if Humanoid and Razork can get on top of that AD carry, he will die.
Don't forget, Cosmic Drive changed as well to be about all that. Hey, I want to be first, I want to do a lot of damage, so definitely going to help out Humanoid as well alongside that. Fnatic hiding in vision. Baron has spawned. This is what we're talking about. The map going very dark for MAD Lions, and you never know what's waiting around the corner.
Nisqy looking for a pick.
Oh, just wide. Gets stunned up, and now on the back line, Elyoya goes for the engagement. Laure already down to half HP. Oscarinin with a great stun. Carzzy has to pop the cleanse. Carzzy, though, still surviving the Magna Storm. Separates Fnatic from their teammates. Elyoya, though, the Carzzy flashes forward. Carzzy with the triple. Carzzy with the quadra. And MAD Lions with the win.
Hilly steals the penta, but I think there's smiles on MAD Lions' faces regardless, as they will work their way up the mid lane. MAD Lions found the fight they needed.
A chaotic fight that is finished by Carzzy, the man with the confidence, the flash in for the quadra. It will be MAD moving forward in the spring group stage. A sigh of relief on Carzzy's face after what was a crazy back and forth. But smiles on the faces of MAD Lions. They will continue to fight as Fnatic will be eliminated in the group stage of Spring.
so much pressure on Carzzy in those fights. There's so real DPS threat, and he steps up massively again there. The flash forward at the end to secure that win for MAD Lions.
I will say, massive props to Humanoid to make that flash play. When you're in that stalemate, the level of confidence and conviction you have to be the one to make that play, it didn't work out. But it also could have been the play that won the whole game, right? And it was a massive gamble, it was a huge risk. He took that risk and it didn't work out. But you can't say that the man didn't try. He was so close to getting that pick and it would have been a kill. But in the end of the day, it ended up being that front-to-back team fight. It ended up being Carzzy that cleaned up, and it ended up being a big victory for MAD.
It did, and a big loss for Fnatic. Obviously now eliminated from the Spring Split, eliminated from contention for MSI as well. It's a step better than they did in winter, but I'm sure they would have been hoping for a little bit more as an organization and as a group of players.
I will say, though, you can kind of see the improvement from winter into spring, where it felt like they had a bit more of an identity, trying to play around Oscarinin and playing for those late game fights.
Sure.
But unfortunately, it is just that mid to late game macro that really came back to bite them, and MAD on the day knew how to exploit that at so many different turns.
Astralis is looking at this smiling, though. They are feeling confident right now. MAD only have a day to turn things around. I will say that MADs, they were in a similar situation where they went 5 games against SK last split, and then the day after, they immediately had a very convincing performance against Koi. We'll see if they can do the same thing against Astralis tomorrow, because their road is not an easy one.
No, it's not. You can vote for one of those MAD Lions players in your Player of the Series votes at LEC on Twitter. Chasy, Nisqy, and Carzzy are your options. I think all 3 had great performances. I think Carzzy especially, actually, this series really did what was needed of him.
Yeah, for sure. And massive shout out to Elyoya as well. I really think the unsung hero in this game, in how well he set up so many team fights. His peel was truly incredible, and it was great to watch this team go in those 5v5s, because it was a very close back and forth that could have swung either way.
It really was. Do you want to do the handover to Yinsu?
Yeah, I mean, not really doing this a lot because I'm not a host, but Yinsu is standing by with Nisqy to take us through what was a bedlam of a game.
I was kind of hoping that Medic would do it since he's got the space buns and all, but I'll take it. Congratulations, Nisqy. Towards the end, there was going back and forth, back and forth. Tell me how you guys managed to stay calm and close it out.
I mean, to be fair, I don't know, the game was so rough. I felt like we were so ahead, and then we threw, and then they were like ahead or like even, and then we got Nash again, but then we threw again on top, so I feel like it was back and forth. And then I was like, okay, guys, now, when we fight, just don't scream and just play your fights. And then I think we didn't talk as much in fights, and it went kind of better. Also, I believe they could have ended the game if they just all hit, maybe. It was so close, I was like, no way, I'm losing this game, right? And then they didn't end, and then we tried to end, and I don't know, it was just a mess. Yeah.
It's one of those days, it's one of those days. Now, I do want to, if you see that screen over there, I want to take you back to a dragon fight that happened earlier. There was a lot of fights, so I'm hoping you remember this one. But this is where afterwards, there was a bit of flair from you as well, couple of gold cards landing in a 2v2. As we get longer into this fight, I want to ask you if you thought Elyoya was going to stay alive towards the end.
Here, first of all, Carzzy trolls here. Like, he's not with us. I don't know what's doing with. And then I want to chase them because I have gold card, and we're 2v2, and I believe we win. But it's just this Thresh is a bit too good, I think, here on the tower, where I go on him and he outplays us, and then I die for Elyoya, which was fine at the end, but maybe it was a bit of a overchase, It
was a pretty stylistic gold card, though.
Yeah, not bad.
I mean, a really important one as well. But yeah, did you? Oh, we don't get to see it, but we thought maybe he was going to get hit by the tower, the minion shot.
I mean, we thought he was going to die. Yeah. Actually, even he said, he was like, I'm dead. And then Hylissang was like, no, you're not dead, And yeah.
It's his lucky day. I do want to ask you, this is the first time you face Fnatic, your ex-team, in a best of 3, best of 5, best of anything, and you've eliminated them here. How good does that feel?
It feels pretty good. I don't know. I mean, I don't have anything against them in general, but just usually beating your old team feels good. And yeah, also I think Humanoid was in MAD before, and now he's on Fnatic where I was before, so it's also feels good, to beat him. But I'm just glad that we made it as a team today, because I think we needed it very badly,
Do you think this is maybe going to change people's opinions going forward? Because I think a lot of people might have been favoring Fnatic in this scenario. It's got to be good to prove people wrong.
Yeah, I mean, I think with what we showed in the past few weeks, I agree, like we looked really boosted. But I think today, to be fair, Fnatic was actually pretty strong, and I think we also showed a good face. And what I like today is that we played as a 5-man unit. And usually when you play as a 5-man, you usually win the game, so yeah.
Well, congratulations so much,
Thank
Nisqy.
you.
We'll see you back here tomorrow as
Thank
well.
you.
I'm going to throw this to a break. Don't go anywhere because G2 will be taking on SK right after this.
Look, all I want is to go on Twitter and just see how people are flaming my AD carry for getting out by Rekkles, actually.
See how it began? Sejuani missing Q, ult,
My AD carry tanking T2 tower.
Play with Jinx, play with Jinx. Wukong. I clean up.
Jax. Play with Carzzy, guys.
Ahri wants me in the back. I get it. Let's go, Yoya. Bro. No flash on here.
I'm out.
You kill them, nice, Martin, kill them all. You can
Have it. Let me.
Meet, go meet.
I don't care about the penta. We don't turn, by the way.
Only Nexus, all of them. Nexus, all of you. Please.
Oh, not again. It's fine. Nice try.